everybody? It's .bets checking back in. We have our Week 18 top plays and stacks video coming your way. Week 17 was a very, very nice spike week. Our best week to date. Won $726 off of a 280 entry. So always love that profit, love that spike week. So let me know in the comments below if you used any of the stacks that we did last week. The Burrow stack and the Mahomes stacks paid out very nicely for us. And Burrow's thrown for like 1,000 yards in the last 2 weeks. It's been insane. But no Burrow this week, as there are a bunch of people that are sitting, a bunch of people that are motivated. So we need to figure out who to play this week. Before we get going, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know in the comments below who you guys are on this week. Then also check out our guys at Occupy Fantasy. Their lineup optimizer is one of the best in the game. Let them know I sent you. They'll hook you up. And then lastly, we have our Match Bets promo code, DB100. You get a 100% sign-up bonus, and I will give you 1 month free of VIP if you deposit with that particular promo code. And then, as always, things change over the course of the week. So we had that Sunday live stream, 10:30 in the morning on Twitch. So make sure you guys are following me on there and tune in, ask any late questions. We'll break down free props, free picks, and then the latest DFS lineups that I'm creating. So without further ado, let's go. All right, so let's dive into the top stacks of the week. It's going to be a little bit different this week. We're going to have one full game stack, and then we're going to go two games where we're going to lean one side, basically 3x1 or 2x1 in that side. So if you noticed last week, the 2x1 Bengal stack did very, very well with Burrow and Chase. You brought it back with Darrell Williams. You probably shot at the leaderboard very nicely. I had a 3x1 that cashed, but it got, I think it was top third, where it was like 210 when I needed like 240 because I had Higgins in there that only had 9 points for that 3x1. So just play it how you're kind of making those lineups this week. I'm still going to go to the 3x1s just to make sure I am a little bit more unique than the rest of the field. So the first one, we are going to go with Seattle at Arizona. That is due to the fact, one, it's the highest total on the board. I always like to have Vegas kind of dictate where we should put our eyes and put our money. But you got Murray and you have Wilson, so I'm okay with stacking both. I kind of feel like this is like Russell's one of his maybe his last game as a Seahawk. I kind of felt like that way. Last week was his last week, playing in Seattle. Obviously, he'll never say that, but threw 4 touchdowns. 3 of them went to DK Metcalf. I don't know if he can do that similar performance, but I can still see 25 plus fantasy points. Maybe he runs a little bit more. He had 6 attempts last week. Just to try to show off a little bit to sign somewhere else in the offseason. But really like Russell this week. And then you have Kyler. You have him doing a little bit more with his feet. He had 9 attempts last week, but I feel like he could have had more. For some reason, I just feel like he could just run every single play, maybe. But nonetheless, we will roster him once again. We were on him last week with the stacks for the Cowboys game. He had 22 points for us. Wasn't terrible. That can serve, be pretty dang well for us. So we are going to go back to the well here with Kyler Murray. So you can stack this both ways. You can bring it back. So you can go with Murray first, and then you can go his. It really depends if Connor is going to play or not. He's still on the fence. I would probably lean that they don't play him, but that's something we got to monitor. Obviously, if one of these two are out, Edmonds or Connor, you definitely got to play one or the other. So Edmonds wasn't at practice on Thursday, and then you have Connor, who is at limited practice on Thursday. So just make sure we know which one we have here. But you'll have to have for sure ownership to one of those two. Or you can go the cheap route where you go Kirk and Green, or Wesley has been very, very good as of late. Doesn't get that many targets, but he's been getting in the end zone. They kind of trust him where they just throw the ball up and he'll go and get it, pretty much the DeAndre Hopkins role is Wesley in the red zone. Kirk gets him down there. Green gets him down there. They throw it up to Wesley. So you can. That's a little bit different player for Wesley there. You could go with Green, or you could go with one of my favorite plays is Zach Ertz, who's been pretty much the heartbeat for this offense for a while now. 11 targets, 13 targets, and 9 targets. So he is heavily involved. You throw him in there, and you can run it back with one of the receivers, or you can run it back with one of the best running backs. I think he's the RB1 the last 4 weeks. Is RASHAAD Penny, and 29, 6, 22, and 35. Granted, he's been having very good matchups. Doesn't get too much involvement in the pass game, so you're going to lean heavily on him to be able to establish the run here. But I'm probably going to be. I'll have a little bit of Penny, but I'm probably going to go towards a Metcalf or Lockett. You can beat this Arizona team through the air, so probably prefer Lockett or Metcalf here. So Murray, Kirk, Metcalf, and Ertz, and then you fill up accordingly, and then you flip it the other way where you have Wilson, Metcalf, Lockett, and you can come back with Ertz, come back with Kirk, or you can come back with Chase Edmonds if he's in, or James Conner if he's in. So that's what to attack this game. And then, so the other one we're going to go to is going to be at Buffalo. So this is a 16-point spread, and you would think that it'd be tough to get some value on the back end. However, we do have some value here with the Jets. If you guys watched the game last week, Braxton Berrios shot us up the leaderboards. He was only 3,500. He missed practice on Thursday, so monitor his situation. But as of the last 4 weeks, he's been pretty damn solid. 10 targets. He only had 1 target before the week before, but he had a couple carries, and then he had 6 targets and 12 targets. So rushing touchdown last week as well. Don't predict that same performance, but he does have a value here. Or you could go, Keelan Cole, or just you have to know the status here. Michael Carter, he kind of screwed us last week at 65%, and luckily we had our Burrow and Mahomes stacks that worked out. But Michael Carter was in a lot of our lineups, and he had the concussion, but he's cleared protocols, I believe. So you can fire him up on the back end. But this is probably one I would maybe lean towards 2x1ing, maybe with an Allen and a Diggs, because a lot of you guys know there's a bunch of incentives for Week 18, and Diggs is I think 6 or 8 receptions away from a big payday. So you could expect for him to do pretty dang well here. He needs to do well early, just in case they do get up early. But you can throw him. You can throw Davis. You can throw Beasley. And then another guy who's been getting a bunch of run, who is against the worst rush defense in the league. That is Devin Singletary, 14, 16, 18, and 26. So definitely in play here. You can play him outside of stacks. If you want to go that route, you can play him inside of stacks. Is Singletary. So you can go Singletary here for 3x1. You can bring it back with, you can have a Michael Carter or Berrios, or I would say Keelan Cole. Those are pretty good options here. I'll probably throw Berrios in that 4,900. A little bit of salary relief with Josh Allen. Then the third and final stack we have is we are going to go to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay, we're going to 3x1 or 2x1 against Carolina Panthers. This game has a bunch of incentives in it. Brady and Gronk have tons. I think Brady has to throw for 488 to break the all-time season record, I believe. Then he'd have obviously an incentive to get that, and I think Gronk needs 86 yards receiving. So throw those two in there, Brady, Gronk, and then you have, Evans. He should be better with his hammy. You have Grayson, who stepped up big time after Antonio Brown had that fiasco. Tyler Johnson, Scotty Miller. I would probably lean towards Tyler Johnson and Grayson. And then you have, second to Mike Evans. So throw Mike Evans in here currently. Pretty expensive stack here. And then you could run it back with DJ Moore. he had 8 targets. He's going to have the most exposure in the pass game. Another guy that is sneaky in this game is CHUBA Hubbard. I really, really like what I've been seeing out of him. Recently, he had 17 attempts. I don't think he's going to. I think he's going to be more involved in the pass game. That's why I like him compared to you could do Abdullah too. I would probably lean towards Hubbard. But if you want to go a little bit different here on the bring back, you can go Abdullah, and he gets 4 targets. He's in the run game. He's in the pass game. And obviously, if they think they're down, it's an 8-point underdog. So could go that route as well. Or the other guy that you could do is Anderson. I forgot to mention PERRIMAN. PERRIMAN is in play here. I would probably lean GRAYSON though. PERRIMAN, for whatever reason, has just not. He had that one big play in overtime, or to not go to overtime, walk off. No, it wasn't overtime. The walk off TD. But GRAYSON has shown the ability to get open and play that Godwin role, play that AB role. So I really like GRAYSON here. Other than Mike Evans, but those you can either 2x1. You can just leave Evans off. You can go Brady Gronk, and then you can go DJ Moore, 2x1 it or 3x1 it. Either way. So on to the top plays. All right, we'll give you a couple top plays at each position, probably by 3 to 5 for the quarterback position. Outside of our stacks, these are guys that you can probably play in like some small cash games if you want to maybe run them naked, or if you want to play them in high risk and just be completely different than a lot of people. Maybe stack with these guys. Highly unlikely I get to these guys, but these are guys that I do think have good matchups. First one is Taysom Hill. I know it's disgusting to say, but he has owned Atlanta in his career when he's played them. So it matches up well. They can run the football against him. I think he gets in the end zone once again. He's thrown it 27, 28 times, so they've seen him or letting him throw the football instead of just having being that run-heavy approach. 97 passer rating, 17 fantasy points last week. Not going to hurt you, not going to kill you. So it's a nice little cash game here. But you could stack him with KAMARA. You could stack him with Callaway if you want to get completely different and hope for a Saints breakout game. But I think Taysom's in a good matchup here. Another guy I like depends on if he's playing or not, because Lamar hasn't been at practice or whatnot. But if one of those two do not play, or one of the other do not play, obviously you play Huntley to Lamar or Lamar to Huntley. So I know it's a tough matchup last week against the Rams. Didn't look his greatest, but you've seen the upside against the Packers. 35 Draftkings points, and going against a Pittsburgh defense. This game is going to be one of the more competitive games of the week. So I look for Huntley to have a big game here. You could pair him with Andrews. You could pair him with Marquise Brown or Bateman. So he's shown that he can pass the football and move the football down the field. So this is another against the grain stack if you want to go that route as well. And then lastly, it depends if he plays. I think he is going to be the starter. But we are going to go here to Trey Lance. So he was the cash game darling. A lot of people try to play him in the millie. Hard to get different when there's tons and tons of lineups on him. He was like 20% on last week at 4,800. Now he's at 5,500. Be a little bit less, but I mean he still had 20 points. And I think they're going to go into this game with the Rams and as Trey Lance as their quarterback. I don't think Jimmy G's thumb will be good. And you could pair him with Kittle. You could pair him with Debo. So nice little stackable features with all three of these guys. Just stacks that I'm not getting into, but I see potential in. And then the running back position, it's very top heavy this week. You guys saw the cover boy. Jonathan Taylor should absolutely thrash this Jacksonville defense. It was kind of disappointing week last week. He only had 108 yards and 1 touchdown and 21 fantasy points. You're used to 30 plus, you're used to 50, you're used to 40. Then when he has a 20-point game, it sounds like a dud. But obviously he's going to be close to the 15 to 25 point range. No-brainer play here at 9,300. He's very expensive, but I think he can get there in a game where they should solidly win and get themselves into the playoffs. Only factor here is if it's a big blowout by halftime. I would think that they don't play him much in the fourth quarter, but you never know. So that's the only concern here I have with Jonathan Taylor. I love him. He's going to be my one of my top running backs that I have exposures to this week. The other guy, you can put Kamara in. You saw his ability last week in the pass game, 21 points. It's just a matchup where I'd probably lean more towards Taylor, but he's a great leverage pivot point if you want to not pay up for Taylor and you only go to Kamara. The other one, so Aaron Jones is not questionable. I think he's going to play, but I think they're going to be very, very cautious with their starters. So we're going to get a discount here on A.J. Dillon at 6,200. I think he could have another big-time game last week for him. 2 rushing touchdowns, 22 points. I think he's going to be down here in like the 15 to 20 range again. He had 14 attempts last week. He's solidified his bulldozer role in this offense. Really, really like this play at 6,200. He probably will be my most highly owned running back as it currently sits. Another one we got, like I said, in the Arizona game, if you want to play either one of the Connor or Edmonds, and then the Bills game, if you want to play Singletary in and out of stacks, those are awesome as well. And then we have 2 other ones. The other one is going to be Najee Harris. A lot of people love this guy. A lot of people hate this guy for what he did last week with that last-second touchdown. But reason I really like him here is Deontay Johnson is on the COVID list. All of those targets have to go somewhere. Another dink and dump passes to Najee. Lots of Claypool, lots of Freiermuth. So it opens up the offense completely. So I do like Najee Harris here. And then the other one we have a little bit of a discount is Deontay Foreman. Derrick Henry will not be back this Sunday. I think it's a long shot. And you've got Foreman, who ran the ball 26 times for 132 yards and 1 touchdown. And he's still priced at 5,700. Under 6,000, probably the best play on the board as it currently sits. Absolutely smash spot against this Texans defense that has given up a lot of rush yards on the year. It's probably Dillon and Foreman for me a lot, so I can pay up for a couple other stacks that I want. But then you throw in Taylor here and there. But those 2 jump out to me as no-brainer plays. And then wide receivers, like I said, Diggs is probably going to be heavily owned. He's at 7,800. He's got those incentives. Everybody knows about them. So a great pivot to that, a fantastic pivot to that is to pay up a little bit more to Justin Jefferson. So that's kind of another strategy that I've kind of implemented a little bit down the stretch here is who is the most, who's going to be very, very high owned receivers and pivot to the guy right around him, because a lot of people are going to use up all their salary to get to that guy, and you can just leverage right off to another guy pretty dang close to him. I'm going to be off Chase this week just because of, no Burrow. I'm not going to force that hand there. I will have some exposure to Debo. But, Diggs and Jefferson right here are probably where I top it out at. You're going to have Cooper Kupp. I'll have slight of Cooper Kupp. I know he has all those incentives or whatnot, but you can't have Taylor and you can't have Kupp in your lineup. So if you're going to have Taylor, I would prefer Taylor to Kupp, but it's slightly. But you can't have both in there unless you want to just punt the rest of the positions. It's going to be tough to get in there. So then you have Metcalf and Lockett here for the wide receivers. But then probably the best value play on the slate, and he's going to be pretty heavily owned. That's 3,800. That's MCCLOUD. He just opens up your entire lineup. So if you do want to have Kupp, if you do want to have Jonathan Taylor, you can manage to get some other piece in there that's pretty dang well. But he's had 8 targets and 10 targets, and these are with Deontay there. He's going to slide right in to the offense there. You can also probably throw in James Washington, but the Steelers' offense is wide open now that Deontay's out. disperses about 15 targets. So I like Ray at $3,800. And then the other one would be Claypool, like I just said there. One other one I was looking at would be a Brandon Cooks. So we just talk about 1v1 stacks here. You could do a Foreman and Cooks inside of your 3x1 stack. So nice little one-to-one, 11 targets, 10 targets, and 11 targets. Davis Mills has been pretty dang good these last several weeks, and has gotten the football back into Brandon Cooks' hands. So like for him to keep that going here against a Titans secondary that is beatable. So this could be a nice 1v1 stack here with Foreman and Cooks. And then lastly, with the tight ends, like I said, you could pair Andrews with them. You could pair Kittle with Lance. But the top tight end probably that will be heavily owned this week is Rob Gronkowski. Like I said, he's got those incentive deals. It will be one that I have obviously in stacks. And then ERTZ will be in the other one. And then like I just talked about is FREIERMUTH. He should be back. Again, he had 6 targets last week. So he's solid there. He could catch a touchdown this week. Like for him to do that. You have Hunter Henry down here. And then as you get a little bit more down here, it's not too crazy. Brate has scored in 2 straight weeks. It's nothing, to pound your chest at, but he has, red zone potential, gives you a little bit of salary relief. But I won't have too much to him. Another guy that's just been very intriguing to me is John Bates. Even with Ricky Seals back, he's still getting points, 12 points and 6 points. And a guy for 3,000, it's salary relief. Not saying I'm going to have a lot of John Bates, but he could be in the player pool and potentially there that I like. So those are probably where I'm going to stay at. Probably off of Gesicki. Maybe have a little bit of Knox in a game stack, but I'm mostly going to have Gronk, ERTZ, FREIERMUTH, and then maybe have a little bit of Henry and a little bit of Brate or Bates down there. So that's where I'm going at with the tight end position. And then let me know in the comments if you guys have any other different plays that you guys might be on. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. And we will be back Sunday morning for the On the Dot live Twitch show. So thanks for tuning in. See you guys.